TGIF party people, welcome to a brand new edition of HBCU Sports Live. It is myself, Chris Stevens. It is Jared Hoffman, a proud D2 representative today, and we are not going to waste your time. We'll get into all of this stuff we're going to promote and all that extra stuff later when Ken Rashad joins us. But today, we have had the first ever HBCU winner of the Harlan Hill Trophy, and it is West Virginia. Oh my God, Virginia Union's. Oh wow, Virginia Union's Curtis Allen. And Jared, I'm going to let you take it away, brother.
Yeah, it is a historic day, a landmark achievement for Virginia Union University. Curtis Allen becomes the first player to ever win the Harlan Hill Trophy. I know a lot of people who will be tuning in are FCS, HBCU alums, particularly in the SWAC, so you may not understand how big this achievement is. The Harlan Hill Trophy is the Heisman Trophy for Division II football. In the 39-year history of the award, an HBCU player has never won it. We've had historic players like Amir Hall, Andre Braxton, Richard Huntley, Trenton Cannon, Jada Byers, guys who have put forth incredible history, record-breaking seasons, and an HBCU player had not won it. Curtis Allen breaks the mold, becomes the first player to ever win the award after setting CIAA records for rushing yards in the season 2409, which, by the way, is fifth all-time in Division II history in a single season. 30 rushing touchdowns. I don't know where that is in Division II history, but it's up there. I know the record is 40-something. So he was very close to that and did that in only 11 games. Averaged over 200 rushing yards per game. Nobody else is over 175. That is history. Curtis Allen left no doubt as to why he should win the Harlan Hill Trophy, and this should be celebrated. I understand everybody wants to talk about Celebration Bowl ratings. I get it, all the coaching changes and everything, but this is a landmark. This is history. This is something that has never been done. This needs to be celebrated. If you support HBCUs, scream this to the mountaintops. The best player in Division II football went to an HBCU. He plays for an HBCU. We always talk about, our guys are always getting snubbed for these awards. We always want to complain about, they don't like us. They don't vote for us. Well, they just did. Scream this to the mountaintops. The same way y'all would have complained if he would have lost. Let's scream his name and make sure everybody knows his name now that we got a winner. Let's celebrate this. Please. Don't let this be something that we just throw under the rug, because this is a huge landmark achievement.
You heard the man. This ain't no Friday news dump, folks. This is major stuff right here.
We're going to celebrate again.
Shouts out to Ken and his Ken Rashad has joined us, as you know. So today, folks, we got a lively show. We're going to talk more about, obviously we're going to delve deeper into Curtis Allen winning the Harlan Hill. We got some coaching news. We got some Celebration Bowl news. But Ken, we have some things to promote. Starting with you, sir.
Oh, we're going to start with me this time?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing, very important. Let me I don't want this to be a distraction, even though this is worth celebrating, but let me just take Curtis Allen down just one moment here, because I need you guys' help with this, okay? Mm-hmm. There is a link right now in the chat, all right? So that we can better serve you going forward, man. And believe me when I tell you, I take this very seriously. I take the emails that we get, I read pretty much everything that we get, and unless it goes into spam folders. And sometimes I'll look at that and I'll get things from like months ago that I hadn't noticed until at that moment. But there is a form right now that is a survey. It is very important that you take a moment, please. It only takes maybe 2 minutes, if that. All you got to do is just check some boxes and give us some feedback. But most importantly, man, it's a survey to kind of get a feel for what it is that you would like to see from us. All right. We'll ask you, this is anonymous. We're not sharing, but we be honest with your answers. But one of the things we ask is, what would you like to see more of from HBCU Sports going forward. This isn't the first time I've done this. I do listen. And, it wasn't that long ago. Somebody said, you know what? I used to really like the band coverage that you guys provided, and I can't get that anymore. You guys need to do a better job of this. And I hear. But when you have budgets and you've got, a lot of this thing, man, takes time and resources and money. Okay. So this survey is like really, really important. So please, yes, we'll take the super chats. We will take that. But as this relates to planning going into 2026, I am asking you, please, it doesn't cost you anything but just a little bit of your time. Fill out that form, submit that survey, and it would be greatly appreciated. All right. Now, with that said, I do have a book, and see these books right here? They're moving slowly but surely. They are moving. But I'd like to kind of get rid of, look, man, we still got time to get them out from Christmas. Well, maybe not, but we still got time to get them out before the end of the new year. All right. And hey, perfect gift for you, stocking stuffer, maybe a New Year's gift, maybe whatever it is. Go to kenrashad.com. Buy a copy of my book, HBCU Sports 101, A Guide to Understanding Black College Athletics. You can get the ebook. There's a bundle. You can get an ebook on the spot. And then while you're reading that ebook on the spot, you can go ahead and really, we're going to really, come on. Is this what we're going to, certain people from Mississippi can't read? Okay, I know better. But anyway, this is what we got to deal with. Anyway, so you'll get a signed copy of the book for the exact same price that you would get it for if you were to buy it directly from Barnes & Noble or Walmart, anything like that. So go to kenrashad.com, buy a copy of the book, and I will get it out to you as soon as possible. And again, make sure you fill out that survey, and I'll continue to put that link to the survey as the show progresses. Okay? Because I'm rushing because I've got a hard stop because Chris Stevens, being the important man that he is, now he's big here, but when I tell you he's even bigger in the state of Delaware, I ain't lying. Because he was like, look, kid, we're gonna do this show because goddamn it, I gotta get off at 4:45. Because I got a basketball game to cover, and they are expecting me there. So he didn't quite say it that way, but
thank you.
Chris, don't tell me anything like that. If he went out his way to tell you how big Stephen A. Smith is to like certain place. Chris Stevens is the Stephen A. Smith of the state of Delaware.
Oh God, no.
No, look, it ain't often that Chris Stevens tells me I got a hard stop. Yeah, I understand you got the show, but I got a hard stop at 4:45. So I just say anyway. Hey Chris, you got a book, right?
Oh man, yes I do, ladies and gentlemen. I also write creatively. I mean, if you're not familiar, I'm not only a journalist, I'm a creative writer, and this is my latest baby. This is my 13th self-published novel, and it is my first off of Amazon because Amazon takes too much money. The outlet that I'm publishing with gives me 70% of the profits, so I get way more money for this book. So this is my latest. It's a Christmas romance called A Widower's Gift. It is a book about a single widowed father who owns a bookstore. You know, his daughter's been leaving for college soon, and she's like, "Dad, I want you to get a life." And he's like, little girl, get out of here. And he's like, well, maybe she's right. So enter this woman who is a public relations expert who comes in from out of town. Actually, she lived there as a kid, but never wanted to go back, but her parents made her come back. And they meet in a bookstore. And as you know, in a romance, sparks fly. So I've got this book. It's in digital download. You can get it in PDF, Word doc, or EPUB, and you can upload all of that. You know, you can buy it for the neat and tidy sum of $2.99. And there's the link. And that is, if you buy the book and read it, you can go back to this very same site and leave a review. Reviews help authors a lot. Ken Rashad will tell you this.
Indeed.
So if you want to buy this book, you know, and you don't have to wait for it to come in the mail, it can come directly to your inbox. And you can open it. You can read on your laptop, your phone, your tablet, whatever device you have. And I would love to know what you all think. And I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, this is my baby. I'm very excited about it. It took me 3 years to finish this story, y'all. This story has been banging around in my head for 3 years, and I just did not see myself finishing it. But I actually finished it a couple of weeks ago, did some edits. The cover art I made myself. Shout out to Canva. Canva is clutch. And went ahead and put it up. So if you guys like to read about people falling in love during the Christmas holiday, this book is for you.
All right. So let's get back to Curtis Allen, because Jared got a question for you. And I understand that you've lamented just how big this is. Let me ask you, before the season started, or when the season started, what were the expectations of Curtis Allen going in to the season? And were we expecting this type of production from him that we've seen during the course of the season?
So going into the season, I felt like he had the ability to be, at best, a CIAA Player of the Year candidate, if not winner. You know, he showed flashes when Jada Byers was out in 2023, had 2 games where he started when Jada Byers was out, had 155 and 151 in those 2 games. And that's as a backup. And then the playoff win against Lenore Ryan that got them to the regional final last year, he ran for over 100 in that game. So he showed that he has the ability to be a big play running back. So I thought for sure that he could be a candidate, if not a winner, of the CIAA Player of the Year award. But he exceeded any expectations of him being a great player. He has ascended that. He has proven that he is the number 1 player in Division II football, and it's not even close. It's not even close. The guys that are close to him in rushing touchdowns are the guys that are playing in the national championship game tomorrow, who have played 3 more games than Curtis Allen. The guys that there's no one close to him in terms of rushing yards per game, in terms of his production. 297 carries, 8 yards per carry. That is video game. There's nobody with over 200 carries and averaging 8 yards per game but that guy. That is not human.
2,409 rushing yards.
And again, that's 5th all time in Division II football history.
That is
in a single season.
That is stupid.
Yes.
It would have been ridiculous for him to not win it. He is putting up numbers that have not been seen in decades. It's not fair, the numbers that he put up. And by the way, he proved that he can do that on a national level too, even though they lost in the Division II playoff game. He still put up big numbers in that. Every single game this year, he was over 100 yards and scored a touchdown. Every single game. Had 4 games where he had over 200 yards and combined for 14 touchdowns in those games. Please, let's celebrate this, because this is a massive achievement, and it is well deserved. Because, like I said, we would have been complaining all day and all night had he not won it. So let's celebrate that he actually did win it, and let's get another one. This ain't the last one. This won't be the last one. We got talent down here at Division II level. I know y'all like to minimize us, talk about how you lose to the Division II team. It's because we have actual great players on our team, and we have actual great coaches. That's why y'all paying top dollar for our coaches.
Damn. Okay. Ooh.
Let him
drop.
Cook. Let him cook. And Swag Fan 100 with a great point. Sometimes we do more complaining than we do celebrate. That's a true statement.
Mic drop. All right. Let's keep it at Division II, because there is a head scratcher that is going on right now. And no one seems to know anything right. No one seems to have any answers about the coaching situation at Clark Atlanta, in which Teddy Keaton indicated that he's leaving the school after 2 seasons. And correct me if I'm wrong, we don't know if he's leaving on his own. We don't know if he's been let go. We don't know anything. But I know no one expected this coming out of CAU, given what Teddy Keaton has done for that program in time that he's been there. Any comments from you, Jared, on this? I know you got comments on this.
I sugarcoated yesterday by saying that this was probably the dumbest move of the offseason. So let me be very crystal clear. This is the dumbest move that I've seen since 2020. This is absolutely stupid. If this is a firing, let me preface by saying, if this is a firing, this is the dumbest firing that I may have ever seen. What sense does this make? You had a down year. Whoop-de-doo. Everybody has those. You just lost the SIAC Player of the Year in David Wright. You lost two of your leading receivers in Jamal Jones and Virgil Young. Who wouldn't have a down year after that? And you had to start a freshman quarterback when the guy that you expected to be your full-time starter went down with an injury. Yes, that's going to lead to a down season. And it's not like you were getting blown out at every game. You were actually in those games. You were competitive in most of the games that you lost. That's a product of Teddy Keaton. And by the way, you almost lost a third leading receiver when Armand Harris entered the transfer portal and had committed to Jonathan C. Smith briefly. And you got him back. I'm no expert, and I don't know this for fact, but I have a feeling that Teddy Keaton had a lot to do with that. And by the way, Armand Harris had an incredible season as well. You would not have the season would have been 10 times worse if Armand Harris was not there, because he was a huge part of what kept this offense together. So if this is a firing, this has to be the dumbest firing, the most nonsensical firing that I may have seen in recent years. Now, this could just be that Teddy Keaton resigned and he has a bigger opportunity on the horizon. And it would make sense, because why wouldn't you consider Teddy Keaton? Any football team that is serious about winning should want Teddy Keaton as their head coach. It would make sense for you to make that move, to get him as your head coach. Looking at you, Howard. So it would make sense if Teddy Keaton resigned and said, I'm putting all the eggs in my basket for this opportunity to be the head coach of this institution or whatever. Because if he's leaving for a position coach position, that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Teddy Keaton is a head coach, and anything less would be disrespectful. The man took an 0-10 Clark Atlanta team to the SIAC championship game in a year. In a year. He took an Allen team that had not won since they rejuvenated football, got them to their first winning season as a member of the SIAC, and got the SIAC Player of the Year. So 2 years in a row, he coached the SIAC Player of the Year. Any team that is serious about coaching football should want Teddy Keaton to be their head coach. And if this is a firing, this shows me that Clark Atlanta is not serious about football. It shows that they are not serious about winning, and they have unrealistic expectations for their football program.
Well, here's my question. How can you have unrealistic expectations when you didn't have any to begin with? Teddy Keaton made that school relevant on the football scene, for crying out loud. And I mean, if this is a firing, this is absolutely absurd. And shouts out to Dave for checking in. Yeah, the AUC is an unserious football organization. Because Terrence Mathis, when's the last time Morehouse won 3 in a row? Probably not since we've been doing this.
2021.
2021. Yeah. I mean, but still, that's a long time. I mean, that's in football years nowadays, that's a long time. And, you get rid of Teddy Keaton after a down year, it's absurd. But if this means that he's up for that prestigious job on Georgia and Florida Avenue, which we're going to talk about in a minute, I wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, neither one of those schools just are incredibly unserious about football. And now you have 4 openings in a conference where you probably didn't need to have any. Well, I mean, we knew one was going to be open because, well, Ken, let's talk about it.
Well,
which?
Just real quick.
Good.
Let me say this. If this is a firing, Clark Atlanta better hope and pray that Teddy Keaton don't go to Albany State. Because I guarantee if you play Albany State, you're getting the doors blown off you. And don't let it be on that red field neither. They're going to paint that red field. I'm going to leave it at that. But
that red field is, I mean, the turf ain't going to be the only thing bloody over there. But, yeah, I mean, nothing about this makes any sense. But yeah, Ken, as I was saying, If he's
What
up
was the
for
lead
another,
in?
yeah, we knew one SIAC job was going to be open because of
Oh
course.
yeah. You talking about this one?
Yes, that one.
Well, probably one of the worst kept secrets. But probably one of the worst kept secrets in HBCU football. I mean, this was you folks, man. I'm just tell y'all something, man. Y'all really do brag differently, because you fought to get the man that you got rid of because you didn't like who the AD initially hired. You didn't like that pick. You wanted the guy who apparently you thought was the guy, but he lost to Christmas 2 years in a row. and
had the nerve to complain about resources.
Yeah. And then literally mid-season, this better work out because otherwise we're going to get Quinn Gray. I got to get, man, y'all got some balls, man. That's chutzpah. And I ain't mad at you for it. I'm just simply saying. And you got your man, so it appears. Nothing official yet, but Quinn Gray is going to be the new head coach at FAMU. So, Chris Stevens, your thoughts on this?
Again, worst kept secret in Black college football. We knew this was happening. We knew this was happening when Albany State almost beat Florida A&M in October. Albany State
I forgot about that.
Albany State probably should have won that game. And I know everybody that's a decision maker at Florida A&M, that the board of trustees, the guy who was the interim athletic director, Money Making Marva, whatever they call her these days. I know they all got together in a room and said, we need to get this Quinn Gray fella back home because James Colsey ain't it. And I mean, I said this prior to the Florida Classic on this very show. You guys can go back and, as Larry Scott would say, check the tape. Y'all can check the tape. I said James Colsey cannot survive losing the Florida Classic and to Mississippi Valley State. He can do one or the other. He can't do both. And what did he do, gentlemen? He lost both.
He lost both of them.
He lost both of those games. So he was good as gone. I mean, I wouldn't have fired the man on his birthday. I mean, there's never a good time to get fired. But
I don't think they cared. They probably didn't even realize it was his birthday.
Yeah, but I mean, they're bad. I mean, there's never a good time to be fired if we're being completely honest. Getting fired on your birthday has to probably feel like the lowest of the low. But they did what they had to do because they got their guy, Quinn Gray, the man who oversaw the Gulf Coast offense that went all the way to the FCS semifinals in 1999. Yep. And he's back home. And now you got your guy. So now Florida A&M. This is you working on your third coach in 3 years, man. Who you want?
So they're saying they're going to pay him $1.4 million over 5 years.
That is what?
What does that equate to?
$280,000 a year.
Okay.
Not that far behind what Marshall Faulk is making in Southern, but I think so. Now Florida A&M, you've got your man.
Marshall Faulk is making $400,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got the numbers mixed up. I was thinking 1.2. It's actually 1.2. So yeah, Faulk is making $400K.
Yeah.
But yeah, so FAMU. You got your man again. You gonna run this one out too? Or are you going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he is the Quinn Gray? I would hope it's the latter. Oh yeah, shouts out to Soldier Rag. You already know what we're gonna say.
I didn't want to say it.
Oh, life.
I didn't want to say it.
We just want to put that out there. And oh wow, and Champ D with some more information. A $1.2 million assistant pool. Now, mind you, a lot of people don't understand is that you can't just hire a head coach. You know, you have to have a coaching staff. So there is a sizable investment required to put a incredible, coaching staff together that's going to win you football games. So you got to pay the head man, but you got to pay the position coaches, the coordinators, the staff and all of that. So shouts out to Zach McKinnell.
I saw that.
You can't say anything.
That's cold-blooded. That is cold-blooded. That's funny.
Balls are expensive.
That's funny.
They are. These they are. But yeah, this is Florida A&M. Y'all had excuses, man. You got your man. that's your man, and you gonna stick beside him. That's what you got to do at this point.
So that's all we're going to say about that, because we got a couple of things we got to get to, because Chris has got to get out of here, and I'm going to use his ass as long as he can be here. So moving on, there's been coaching changes going on, and I don't think anyone really saw this coming, unless there's a calculated reason for Larry Scott doing this. But it's been reported, and I think to some degree confirmed, that Larry Scott, well, he's left Howard, and he is going to join the coaching staff at Auburn. I don't think. Well, let me ask you this: Scott wasn't in any kind of hot water, was he? He wasn't necessarily on a hot seat this year, was he?
Well, I mean, folks really sort of were kind of frustrated with some of the, well, you see, yeah, now we got some folks chiming in. Dave says Howard folks are thrilled. Soldier Rag says
really
want to change.
Really?
And yeah, he's never had a winning record, but he does have 2 MEAC championships and 1 trip to the Celebration Bowl. That's a lot more than most other coaches in the MEAC can say at this point in time. Only other one, the only other MEAC coaches can say they've been to a Celebration Bowl are Trey Oliver and Chennis Berry. That's it. That's the list.
So one name comes to mind. What any particular name comes to mind? What you guys think about?
I think Jared knows where I'm going to go with this one.
Where? Who?
A certain doctor.
Down
in Richmond, Virginia. I think he would be a great pick for Howard.
Jared, your thoughts on that? You think that's the man?
Howard be stupid. They would be stupid to not give him a call. They would be stupid to not give Teddy Keaton a call. They would be stupid not to give Maurice Flowers a call. All of those guys would do great at Howard. Mm-hmm. All of those guys. But I like Dr. Alvin Parker because he's more familiar with the area, and he's recruited in the area more than those other guys. So I feel like Dr. Alvin Parker would probably make the most sense.
Soldier Rag, good Lord.
Yeah, he gonna wait by his phone and it's not gonna ring.
It ain't gonna ring for Hampton either.
I'm trying to see. I'm surprised no one has mentioned the name Ted White.
That's right.
And if I'm not
somewhere, isn't
he at Maryland?
He might. If that's where he is, that would definitely be an interesting.
Ted White. If I'm not mistaken, he was on. Who's the coach at Maryland? Mike Locksley? Is it Locksley?
Yeah.
Locksley. I think he's on Locksley's staff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, offensive analyst.
That's a good.
Forgot about Pep Hamilton. Hey, what's up, Steven?
Somebody in my show on Wednesday said David Shaw from Stanford. I wouldn't mind that pick either, but
can they afford him?
Yeah, I doubt it. But yeah, here's Franklin with a question that I find interesting. As a coach, do you really go to Howard due to how hard it is to get recruits there? It is not hard to get recruits to Howard.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, yes, you have to be grade conscious. But if you think you can't get young black men with reasonable grades and athletic ability to go to school with people of their own color and beautiful black women in Washington, D.C.
No, I think it's a little bit. Well, okay. So unless things have changed, and I understand your point, Chris, you would think that Howard, in and of itself, a person would just automatically want to go there by default. I get that. But there is something to be said about how selective Howard is.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded, and this may be kind of off subject, but who was the guy that came from Hawaii that became the head coach at SMU after Hawaii went through that run? That offensive guy, I can't think of the guy's name. Is it June Jones? I think it was June Jones. Yeah, June Jones, I think, left Hawaii, became the head coach at SMU. And if I understood correctly, there were like maybe 2 or 3 recruits that June Jones was trying to get. He had supposedly made offers to. And for whatever reason, I think they wanted to come to SMU to play football. And if I'm not mistaken, SMU turned them down for admission. But yet the people that he offered those scholarships to were able to get into schools like Cornell and Princeton. But they couldn't get in SMU. And so June Jones was like, you guys couldn't be serious. You brought me in to win games, and I'm trying to get you the people who win games and the type of students that you're looking for. But now you won't even, I can't even get them in through admissions. I'm not saying that's the case at Howard. All I'm simply saying is I think that sometimes it may not be as simple as it may seem on the surface. Yeah, go to an HBCU. It's in Washington, D.C. You got black folks everywhere. They got pretty black women everywhere. But there's still something to be said. I do know for a fact that Howard is pretty damn selective. And I'm willing to bet there probably are some players who wanted to go play football at Howard, but probably couldn't get in because of, I don't know, academic or test scores or whatever the case may be. So I don't necessarily think it is that simple. And I think that same thing may apply to like Vanderbilt or Stanford. I know we all know about Stanford. Stanford don't play, but what makes Stanford so unique is that they literally recruit the entire country for people that they know they can get in. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Howard necessarily has that wide reach. So I'm just simply saying, I think there is something to be said for the fact that if Howard is competitive, to me, I think that in and of itself says a lot about the coach and his ability to recruit people who can actually, at the very least, if not win games, at least stay competitive. That's just my initial thought. So I'm not trying to underscore what you're saying, Chris, but I'm just simply saying I think that process is a lot more difficult than it may be. Now, granted, Howard's basketball programs, men and women, they're doing all right, especially the women. But I'm just saying. Yeah,
it's probably because you have to recruit more for football than you do. I mean, you still got to recruit for basketball. Let's not get it twisted. But I think for football, you need 100 kids. And to be fair, we have some brilliant black boys in this country. But are there not only is Howard selective, but are their parents willing to steer them towards Howard or any HBCU for that matter? Mm-hmm. Because there's still, I told you guys before, there have been people in Delaware who have been looking down there, black people in Delaware that have looked down their nose at Delaware State for generations, which I think is absolutely absurd. But now, it seems to be a national thing now where HBCUs also have they're getting the cultural rub now, but at the same time, there's still a contrarian element to our people who say, well, how good can the football be? How good can the academics be? I want my kids to go up against the best of the best. So are you saying your children's, ethnic and racial peers are not the best of the best? That's some self-hatred that's some internal BS that you need to work out and stop putting that on your kids. That's just my take on the matter. But yeah, it's wherever direction Howard goes in is going to be interesting. And I don't think they were terrible under Larry Scott. I do think he lost control in some respects because, again, they were very, shall we say, dirty when they came to Dover a few weeks ago. Like, they were punching the guys on the ground and stuff. Like, I found that to be very disappointing because Larry Scott is a cool customer. I never thought that his guys would lose their composure like that and just start playing dirty football. But that's exactly what happened. And that's probably why, he felt like it was, it's probably the train's probably already left the station here. I'm still very much respected in the SEC in the South. Let me go find a job there. And getting an Auburn job, it ain't easy. It ain't, And that's the SEC school, and he's thought of as one of the top recruiters and tight end coaches in the country before he took the Howard job. So for Auburn's new guy to say, hey, Coach Scott, you want to come down here? And Coach Scott says, I'm there. Says a lot about him. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where Howard goes from this point forward.
Jerry, you got any comments on this?
No, I think I said what I had to say. I think Howard has some good candidates, on the list that they can choose from, and they would be insane not to go after some of the guys they got on the market. Ted White would be a great candidate. He's a guy that is one of their all-time great players, if not the greatest player that they've ever had, and has coaching experience. So that would not be a bad choice whatsoever. So they can't go wrong with any of the choices they make. I just hope they don't go for a sensational guy that'll get the headlines. It's not really serious about their program.
Like somebody in the chat keeps trying to talk up somebody. Cut the crap.
We're not gonna do that. All right. So we're gonna keep moving, but yeah. So Larry Scott is gonna be coaching on the sidelines at Auburn, starting 2026. There was also some more news that took place, and this isn't necessarily about coaching as much as it is about a prolific quarterback. who has, again, hit the transfer portal. And Chris, you and I talked about this briefly before we went live, in which we said that this, without question, has to be a move with the thought or the understanding, or probably even some level of understanding through, I don't know, talks. I don't know how this process works, but he's probably going FBS.
Yeah.
And that 1 year of eligibility left is, I believe. And with the hopes of possibly going to the pro ranks, this could very well be that move in which he's hit the transfer portal, hoping that he can maybe play at an FBS institution, get a little money in his pocket, and possibly turn some heads. What do you guys think? Feel free, anyone.
I think that's pretty much what it is. I mean, because for somebody of his talent, even a top-notch FCS will feel like a lateral move at this point. And if you have pro aspirations, you can't make lateral moves in college football. Maybe in the NBA, maybe in basketball or another sport like baseball or something like that, you're sure. But for football, this has to be a move up. And Andrew Body absolutely has the tools to move up. He has the arm, he has the strength, he has the speed. You know, his height and weight might be a little bit of a problem. But then again, Russell Wilson has played quarterback at 5'11", 205 for the last, 15 years? So, that may not be as big of a concern now as it was when Russ first started. So, Andrew Body, I think just the health concerns are probably what are going to trip him up. But as far as talented quarterbacks, you're not going to find too many more talented than Andrew Body. So I hope he finds what he's looking for. He's done well at Texas Southern. He's done well at Alabama State. And we definitely going to root for him if he, gets that spot that he desires.
Jared?
All I got to say is you better hope that it works out, because the transfer portal has given and it has taken away. There have been plenty of guys who have made their marks in HBCU football, then hit the transfer portal with the intention on improving their pro stock, and it didn't work out for them, i.e. Terrell Allen, who was a Buck Buchanan Award winner, then went to Tulane, and we haven't heard from him since. So,
great point.
You can go for that if you want to. It's your football career at the end of the day. It's your choice, and you got to live with whatever the decision you make. But I'm really, it's disappointing to really see the transfer portal be diminish the value of not only, the spot that you have built with the institution you were at before, but it seems like it's really diminishing the value of a good education. Education has become an afterthought when it comes to college athletics, and with these guys, these guys only want the money, and they're blindly thinking about the money, not even realizing that most of these teams that are going after them don't even want them. Most of the guys that have transferred from HBCU, not everybody is Jamari Taylor, who has done incredible things at Virginia. Everybody that has entered the transfer portal, most of those guys, they flame out wherever they go next, or they don't reach the heights that they were at when they were here. So I don't wish that for Andrew Body. I hope that he makes the right decision for him and he works out for him, and we see him get those pro looks.
Yeah, man. We don't know what the reasons are for him to personally make this move. There is a part of me that wonders, though, and this is just kind of out there. You remember that performance he had at the beginning of the year against UAB?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the belief that performance is what got their coach fired.
You know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I do know how you.
Trent Dilfer,
yeah.
Bozo.
Yeah, I'm of the belief that Andrew Body's performance at UAB is what got Trent Dilfer fired from that job. But with that said, though, Jared, to your point, you said that a lot of these kids, I don't ever think, depending on the individual, I've always been of the belief that students, and this goes back to the transfer portal, they never really cared about the so-called educational component of playing college football. I'm of the belief that they figured, you know what, I can get a so-called college education anywhere I play. And I'm speaking specifically for those who before the transfer portal, who for whatever reason they were there at a school a couple of years, and they decided they wanted to transfer because they just didn't like the way things were going. And it was still about the fact that I'm not getting enough the type of playing time that I felt that I should have gotten. And now you've got the transfer portal where you've got players who literally can come and go year in and year out. We've got players who've played had a career. They played at 5 and 6 different schools over the course of a career. And yeah, it's about the money and playing time. But I never, unless a person just really, really wants to be there, it's always been about where can I play, and now where can I get paid, because I can get a college education anywhere. And you guys are talking about education. Well, okay, as long as I continue to make academic progress, I can get an education anywhere. So,
and the problem is that it doesn't work out for everybody. A lot of these guys get lost in the portal for years. They get lost everybody can't be Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who leaves Alabama State, gets more touches at New Mexico, and finds his way on the Washington Commanders team. It doesn't work out for everybody like that. These guys aren't thinking with what's the best decision for me. They're not thinking about what's the best decision to better myself in the future. They're thinking about what's best for me right now. And that short-sightedness has led to them not reaching their full potential as football players or as students, which means they lose out on that valuable education that could lend them to a career in a different avenue. Because not everybody that is in college makes it to the NFL or even the CFL or UFL. A lot of these guys leave without degrees, and they can't get jobs elsewhere, or they don't find their niche elsewhere as entrepreneurs or as self-employed, beings. You know what I mean? So I just hate to see what the transfer portal is doing to these guys, and a lot of guys sabotaging their own careers for their own self-greed.
Yeah. Chris Stevens, get out.
Okay, all right. So, folks, should I do my thing now before we get up out of here?
No, we're staying. You're going.
Okay, all right. So, all right, folks, I will be this is probably the last 5 p.m. basketball game I'll have for a while. So I'll be back with you guys on a regular basis next Friday. But Ken, Jared, thank you guys. All right, I'm off to go do some work.
He's got to be Stephen A. Smith. He's got to go. He's got an audience that's waiting for him. So I don't want to mess with his money. So all right, man, we'll talk to you.
All right, y'all, have a good one.
Hey, man, before we continue, look, we try to get at least 1 or 2 super chats before we get out of here. So look, all it takes is $5 to be registered, man. Make a $5 super chat before we get out of here. 1 or 2 will be great. Also, keep in mind on December 31st, and we'll make an official announcement real soon. Still trying to sort out a couple of things. The HBCU Sports Podathon is a go, and the only thing we're trying to decide right now is the actual time. It's going to be 7? It's going to be either 7 or 8 a.m. that I start, and we'll continue to go on for 12 hours. There will be some guests, special guests. We will obviously hope to have a strong level of engagement, but I've already reached out to a couple of people, and we know that it's kind of funny with these holidays being what they are, but we do ask that you join us, man, on December 31st. And for 12 straight hours of entertainment. We'll just leave it like that. And so yeah, but make sure you do super chat. Let me put that link also into the chat, man. I see a couple of you are actually taking the time to let me get that. Oh, that's Chris's book. Anyway, there's a link in the super chat that I need you guys to fill out that survey. Okay. And I'll put it out there again before we actually end the show. With that said, let's go ahead and go to the next subject. And I guess you guys probably have seen or heard the news. Grambling has officially made it known that they are going to continue moving forward with Mickey Joseph. I know this seems like really odd that you would think that given where we are right now with recruiting and all this other stuff, that something should have already been disclosed or we should have known something before now. I kind of thought the same thing too, But finally, I was able to speak with Grambling State AD, Dr. Travion Scott, and we talked, and he made it known to me that they are going to move forward with Mickey Joseph. Mickey Joseph has made it known and made it clear that he wants to stay. And Dr. Scott made it known that he wants him to stay. And at this point, it's just simply a matter of trying to work out the details. I did ask about maybe how long that contract extension. He couldn't say or wouldn't say. It's my opinion that I'm thinking maybe 2 years, but I'm guessing the details probably rest in not so much in how much Mickey is going to get paid, but how much his coaches are going to get paid. Just some other little areas, minutia that typically are sticking points. But he did, for the most part, make it clear that they expect to have something in place right around the start of January. Keep in mind, his current contract runs through December 31st. So, he's saying that he's still within his contract. There isn't anything, there is nothing, there are no shenanigans going on. There isn't any certain level of suspicion going on that I'm aware of. It's just that this is kind of where they are. They didn't necessarily, according to Dr. Scott, they didn't necessarily want to put any pressure on him to win games. But when you put in consideration the body work, and granted, I was pretty emotional after we lost to Southern, a 1-10 Southern, and could have ended the season 8-4 as opposed to ending at 7-5. It is still significantly better than what the team was last year. And I guess to some degree, even before Mickey Joseph even got there. And when you put in consideration the injuries and the type of players that they had, freshman quarterback, freshman running back, freshman wide receiver, during the Bayou Classic, it does kind of make sense. And to be quite honest with you, there's a part of me that says that if you were to get rid of Mickey Joseph, who's going to replace him? So I'll end there. Jared, any thoughts from you?
No, I think he's done a tremendous job in the first couple of seasons that he's been there. How Grambling has looked like a completely different team from years past. They look like they're on the right direction toward contendership, and I think it would behoove Grambling to get a deal done soon so that they can hit the ground running in terms of hitting the recruiting trail and keep this momentum up that they have been building.
Yeah, it was my guess too, and in talking to him that. They are, I said, would this level of, by not saying anything, might this hurt recruiting? And when I tell you, Dr. Scott was emphatic that he said that it would have no impact just based upon the fact that, according to him, there's only one player on the entire Grambling squad that entered the transfer portal. And they are encouraged by that, because now they believe they've got a foundation to build on. He was also encouraged by, he wouldn't go into too much details, but he's extremely encouraged about the recruiting efforts that are taking place right now. So as someone said, it probably would have been foolish to let Mickey Joseph go, considering what he was able to do. And, down to QB4, a quarterback who was a freshman who was literally, who was a redshirt as well as a walk-on. And, probably made the quarterback competition that much more difficult going into the spring. So, Mickey Joseph is going to stay at Grambling. It's just simply a matter of, working out the details of the contract. And that's kind of, that's kind of where we are right now. And I guess the thing that everybody's kind of been talking about, and we might as well just go ahead and talk about this, is that, given what we saw at the Celebration Bowl, and it was a great game, great contest. The major news outside of the fact that it was a great contest was that the Celebration Bowl hit some big numbers, like really big numbers that we hadn't seen in quite some time. And it has been the topic of discussion because for whatever reason, and I get it, we HBCU folks, man, because we have been known for high attendance numbers at our games. Attendance is just something that is something we just cannot get out of the way. And typically that is a subject that is it's an important discussion to have maybe, during the regular season with home games when an HBCU team hosts a home game and they, you talk about large attendance numbers. It's probably important when we look at the SWAC championship game or when we look at any classic game, such as the Bayou Classic or the Magic City Classic or any classic, pick anyone, even that classic that took place in Boston. Probably attendance is important. But I am here to tell you, attendance means nothing with the Celebration Bowl. The Celebration Bowl wouldn't care if they had 500 people show up. As long as they had 2, 3, 4 million people watching it on TV, they are good. I've told you guys before, the Celebration Bowl is a made-for-TV event. ESPN is in the TV business, and it's all about producing content that folks are going to actually watch. So, Jared, what are your thoughts? I don't want to overspeak on this. I want to give you an opportunity to speak on this as well as the game. Even if you want to talk about the game, because there is, I guess at some point I want to talk about that controversial call that was that people talked about, and I think it was Willie Simmons who had gone on Twitter and who kind of set the record straight about it being the right call, despite the fact that, granted, we were having a watch party. And I didn't really have a chance to hear what they were saying, but from all indications, it almost appeared as if they were in agreement that the ball didn't cross that pylon, and that maybe they weren't aware of what that actual rule was. So feel free to talk about that, whether it be attendance or whether it be about the actual call in and of itself and the game in and of itself.
Yeah, well, first to talk about the rating, I think it's big, and I think it's something that we need to celebrate moments like this. Because made for TV events, and we're setting big numbers like this, that means that we're going to continue to be in business. That means that when we go to the negotiation table, we can show this to them and say, like, our fans are paying attention. The MEAC and SWAC fans, we're in attendance and we're watching on TV. So it would behoove you to keep this going. We have the culture, we have the play on the field that everyone wants to tune into, and this is something that you should invest in. You know what I mean? So I hope that this continues and we get a 10-year extension, and that we can continue to be on ESPN's network and continue to showcase this game and continue to do the work to build up HBCU football, particularly in the MEAC and the SWAC, and hopefully we can get a Division II game, because the Florida Beach Bowl unfortunately flamed out. So hopefully we could get another iteration of that, and it could last longer, than that game did. But this is huge for us. I understand that attendance is big among the HBCU fans. Alabama, the Magic City Classic, their biggest hook is that they are the most attended HBCU rivalry of all the classics. You know what I mean? So I understand that, that's in our nature to worry about the attendance numbers. But just because a game isn't as attended as much as it should be, it doesn't mean that those teams aren't, it doesn't diminish their value. And by the way, respectfully to the Jackson State fans, y'all saying that, oh, it would have been this many people had it been Jackson State versus South Carolina State. Well, you wouldn't have to worry about that if you had just beaten Prairie View A&M in the SWAC championship game. So stop setting yourself up for that. You lost. Get over it. Move on to 2026. Anyway, about the game and the rule. In the moment, I definitely thought it was the wrong call, because it's not often that you see a play like that be called in that manner. Willie Simmons pointed out that out of bounds, it's an imaginary line until your foot is planted out of bounds. Understood. But how many referees are calling it like that? If there was consistency by how that rule is called, then there wouldn't have been as much confusion, especially among the announcers who are calling the game.
Right.
And one of them, who is one of the greatest HBCU football quarterbacks of all time, even he was confused, saying that wasn't a touchdown.
Mhm.
So if even they are confused about it being a touchdown, then you know that the average fan the average casual fan who knows very little to somewhat something to nothing about
You're right.
football was also
Right.
confused.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be consistency on how that rule is called so that there's no confusion.
I see, but because it is confusing, there is a part of me that thinks, because I call myself trying to do some research on this, because I think I came across a video in which I think it was said, and this was like an NFL for a former NFL official who mentioned something along the lines that pretty much every single yard line on the field extends beyond the out of bounds line. Like, for instance, according to that video, he's saying, you know how you got this rule where when, in order for it not to be intentional grounding for a quarterback has to be out of the pocket. And when you throw the ball, it has to go beyond the line of scrimmage. Well, according to this official, if the quarterback is out of pocket and he throws the ball, even if that ball goes out of bounds, as long as it crosses the original line of scrimmage, it's not considered intentional grounding. According to that official, that rule was put into place for so-called safety issues. Not exactly sure what that is or how that is. I guess they've got science to probably prove that that's, that it's beneficial for the players. But there's still a part of me that wonders, well, if that's the case, then what the hell is a damn out of bounds line for then? You're at the pylon. You got pylons there for a reason. And I'm not saying that the rule was wrong. Obviously, they got the call right, but there's just something in me that says, well, okay, well, if these imaginary lines are going to extend beyond the out of bounds line, then what's the use of having an out of bounds line? Because a player goes out of bounds, but the ball crosses the plane, and you're saying, well, because that ball crosses the plane and his body doesn't touch the ground, it's considered a touchdown, even if it's out of bounds. That just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. He got the call right, apparently. I'm not here to dispute it. I'm not an expert. But there's just something about that. It just doesn't seem right to me. It's just my opinion. I don't know. So
it doesn't make sense. Like, so because he's 5 yards out of bounds and he just reaches across, that's a touchdown. As long
as it crosses the plane.
Yeah, exactly. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. I get it. He hasn't touched down out of bounds yet. But so what? What does that matter? I don't. So for the sake of argument, if a quarterback throws the ball away, but a defensive back inbounds dives for the ball and throws it back inbounds, and the receiver the defender catches it.
Yeah, that in itself. The defender, you're saying that, I guess you're talking about his own teammate catch. That's the interception.
All right, cool.
As long as it doesn't touch, that's an interception.
Okay, fine. But all I'm saying is call it like that every single time. Call it like that every single time, because that human error happens. Human error happens. So if it's a bang bang call and you call it differently, that's fine. But if it's the exact same call and you call it differently, and the verbiage in which you say why you call it the way you did does not align with what the rule says, then you're gonna have to change the rule entirely, because you're causing confusion, not just amongst the fans, because we don't matter at the end of the day. It's the players and the coaches that need to understand how this rule works.
That's true. I want to get to some of these comments real quick. There's some interesting comments being made here. And I guess a lot of related to what we've said so far about celebration. It says, so far, the bowl season, Celebration Bowl leads all games played in tennis. That's fine, and that's not surprising, because they had they had some bowl game. Kennesaw State, Jerry Mack lost it. Damn, they got blown out today. I think that was the Myrtle Beach Bowl. I think Memphis and North Dakota State, North Carolina State are playing right now in some bowl game. and I don't know how many people, but I know there weren't a whole lot of people in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's an ESPN event as well. People, just something to consider. He said, Jared, it's not about Jackson State fans because they watch the game too. I will say this, though, to you Jackson State folks. It was Jackson State and South Carolina State last year, but yet this year, viewership went up 12%. Just something to think about. Maybe they wanted to see somebody else other than Jackson State. Just a thought. I'm just saying. Angela says, attendance are a sore spot for me. A family said that they didn't want to watch HBCU games because it reminds them of a high school game. So here's my take on that. I think I understand what she means by that. Look, there's a lot to be said about production. Okay, ESPN isn't going to spend the same amount of money on, say, the Celebration Bowl, even though it is an ESPN event, or the Myrtle Beach Bowl, compared to the amount of money they're going to spend with this damn college football playoff starting tonight. You're going to have microphones everywhere. So the crowd noise is going to be crisp. They'll probably have a microphone on each band, so you'll hear the bands right there. Believe me, it's all about the production value and how much they value the game. Who's tonight? Alabama and Oklahoma, right?
I think so.
I think they play tonight. Yeah. Alabama at Oklahoma. Okay. I guarantee you, I think that's on ESPN. Or ABC or whatever. Same difference. I guarantee you the production value. Seriously, you will hear the crowd is going to be loud. You'll hear the bands like they're right next door. They don't do all of that with some of the lower bowl games. It comes down to expense, which is why, again, it becomes a made-for-TV event. There's going to be much more money on the line for the college football playoffs tonight compared to the bowl games that you're currently seeing right now, where North Carolina State is beating Memphis 31-7 in this I don't know, whatever bowl game this is, the Sarsaparilla Bowl, whatever it is. I don't know. It's all about how much money they spend on it. Silas says, let me be clear. I believe it was a bad call, but that is not the sole reason for us losing the game. We should.
Oh yeah, they shouldn't have been in that situation.
They shouldn't have been in that situation at all. Great point. I'm trying to see again. Look at some of these other. Someone says 30,000 in attendance and 3 million viewers in the Celebration Bowl should be shooting for your. Hey man, it's great. But let's celebrate what we were able to do, because like Jared said earlier, when it comes down to negotiation, I don't know where we are in this contract right now. The contract is currently between ESPN Events, the MEAC, and the SWAC. Those are the three parties involved. ESPN Events says we're going to give you X amount of dollars. It's probably $1 million and some change per conference. The conferences agreed to send their top team to the Celebration Bowl, and they play a game. That's really, and that's the same way it is with a lot of these other bowls. Some of these other bowl games that you're seeing. Who was that? Oh, thank you so much. Was that? You know what, Angela? You look. If you ever see me, send me an email or something. If you ever see me, please let me know who you are. I'm gonna give you a hug. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right. You know what? Here's another thing to kind of give you guys some idea as to how attendance isn't necessarily that big of a deal. You guys may be aware of what's that during the summer, and I think they even have it during the winter. What are those street games that ESPN? What's it called?
What, the X Games?
The X Games. You don't see any large crowds there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the X Games is owned by ESPN. You don't see any large crowds there. But the X Games have been going on for years now. And it's all about ratings. You don't see any crowds there. As a matter of fact, I think there was even I don't know if they still do it. Remember at the start of basketball season, do they still have that game where they play on an aircraft carrier?
I don't think I haven't. I didn't.
There was a game, I think one time it was Michigan State and somebody, they played on an aircraft carrier.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an ESPN game. That was an ESPN owned game. I forgot what it was called. Some kind of classic. And I think it's safe to say they built a court on on an aircraft carrier, and there was nothing but Navy men there or military people. That's all. And I can assure you, I don't know if it was 1,000 people, but it was a made for TV event. It attendance doesn't matter in this particular instance. Just want to make that clear. All right. Jared, final words before we go.
Curtis Allen is the first player in Division II, the first Division II HBCU football player to win the Harlan Hill Award. This is the Division II version of the Heisman Trophy. So this is not him winning the Division II HBCU Player of the Year award. He is the Division II Player of the Year, the best player in Division II football. In the 39-year history of the Harlan Hill Trophy, there has never been an HBCU player to win this award. We need to scream this from the mountaintops. Curtis Allen, an HBCU player, is the best player in Division II football. And we need to put his name all over social media and make sure these NFL teams pay attention. Because if this man is not on a practice squad, or at least on a training camp roster, somebody is not doing a good job scouting. Somebody is not. And watch the HBCU Legacy Bowl that is happening in February. So we need to make sure that we keep this momentum going. We got guys who are doing big things. We got Emmanuel Wilson on the Green Bay Packers. Joshua Williams, who is a 2-time Super Bowl champion, is on the Kansas City Chiefs. We got Javon Hargrave, who's been in the league for almost 10 years now, if not more than 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We had Shaq Leonard, who unfortunately recently retired due to his injury history and is warranting of consideration for the Hall of Fame. It'd be understandable if he's not in it because he didn't play enough years, but did all that he did. HBCU football is in a great place, is my point.
Mm-hmm.
HBCU football is in a great place, and we just broke a new ground with Curtis Allen being the first player to win the Harlan Hill Trophy. So let's continue to celebrate this. Let's continue to put his name out there on all of our accounts so that everybody knows that the best player in Division II football comes from an HBCU.
Hold on. All right. I just put the link, the link to the survey for you guys who were not on earlier when we first started. There is a link right now that is a survey. It's an audience survey. And outside of just 2, possibly 3 minutes, man, do us a favor, click on that link and take that survey. It will provide us with some idea of what it is that you would like to see more of from HBCU Sports going into the new year. I'm serious about this. I did this last year. I listened to what you guys say. I want your input and feedback. At the same time, there's some additional information that would really help us. It's anonymous. Be honest with it, please. And I promise you, it would really help us going forward. So, couple of things. Someone else, just some of these comments. Someone said, so direct said the Heritage Bowl only lasted 9 years. Celebration Bowl has surpassed that longevity. That is true. And the Heritage Bowl obviously didn't have the backing that the Celebration Bowl has. Wasn't owned by ESPN, but it's a great point. Someone said that Michigan State, I knew Michigan State was involved versus UNC on that boat. Saw someone here said that it was a disaster. They couldn't stop the condensation from forming on the court. So I take it they don't have that game anymore, right? But that was an ESPN event. That much I do know. I do remember that. All right. So with that said, hey guys, I want to thank you all for taking a moment to listen to us on this new version or this latest version of HBCU Sports Live. As Chris always says, and I can't do it like he does, but take a moment, man, go to hbcusports.com/donate and donate to support the operation. You can Zelle us. donate at hbcusports.com. We're also available on Cash App at HBCU Sports. And look, man, follow us on all of the social media outlets, but continue to support it because I'm telling you, man, 2026 is a new year. And we've got a completely different mindset right now. But we want to just make sure that we can do what we can to get through the rest of this year. And like I said, December 31st, 12 hours straight. 12 hours straight. Whew, I might have to go get some Depends or something. I don't know. I'm joking, okay? Won't be like Cory Booker up in here. But for Jared Hoffman, Chris Stevens, Kendrick Marshall, who's somewhere out there, I'm Ken Rashad. I will see you guys next time, man. And guys, enjoy your weekend. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.